Hi, welcome to Feminism on Trial. I've kind of procrastinated on making this one because it is one of those personal stories. It's impossible for a woman to go through this life and be in the society we're in right now and understand firsthand what the men are going through. I mean, we can watch from the sidelines, we can listen to stories, but first of all, we're not men, and secondly, other women don't treat us in that same way. I mean, we're not the ones, getting divorced from and having our kids taken away in court by women. So what I'm saying is you can't know. Well, I had an experience that I think got me as close as one can come. From a previous video of mine, I think it's entitled something like The 83-Year-Old Feminist. I was living with a woman and taking care of her. And I got to witness the fact that there is actually feminists that are in their 80s, which shocked me. But the thing that shocked me the most was the way that she treated the men in her life. I'll give you a specific example. She knew a guy who had done some air conditioning work for her in her various different homes that she owned, and he was pretty much, she said jump, he said how high. At first I just thought he was a very sweet man, and then I started to wonder, what is making him bend over backwards? Does he get that much business from her? And no, he really doesn't. So I'm still perplexed to this day of why he would defer so much to her every time she called him to say, her toilet was stopped up or this was happening or whatever. It was like, come over. So she was moving her things from storage into her garage because she didn't want to pay the storage fee anymore. So she asked this gentleman, would he help her do that? And of course, yes. And so we've gotten to the point where, okay, she's obviously treating men, as like slaves, her own personal, workhorses, etc. But the extreme specific example was one afternoon, and it was in a state that gets very, very, very hot. And we're in the garage. I was supposed to be there too. For what reason, I have no idea. But we're in the garage, and there he is unloading these boxes, and they were very heavy. They contained very heavy materials. And he's all by himself doing the work himself. I should say he's about 60, and he's not in the best of health. So he's unloading everything. He's sweating buckets. I'm like, this guy's going to have a heart attack right here in front of us, and I just felt so guilty. And she just stood there, like some kind of a queen. In fact, she was like kind of standing in his way half the time, like he had to sort of shimmy to get around her. She just stood there and watched him slave away during the hottest time of the day. That was the most convenient for her. And then the fact that I had to be out there, there was no reason for me to be out there, but, I lived there and worked there, and I had a lot to lose if I were to displease her. I felt that was my gut instinct. So that kind of a thing, she just stood there and just watched him slave away. And it was nothing. She felt, you could tell she felt no compassion for him for how hot it was or how heavy the boxes were or how hard he was working. Nothing. I don't know if I'm able to convey this to the point that what it was like. I don't think that it's possible without, having it on videotape and showing you. So flash forward to having lived with and taken care of this woman for nearly a year. Sorry, hair in my mouth. The MS flared up, it was a result of all of the stress and all of the pressure, because I considered myself to be her Filipino slave girl. I was in charge of everything. And I take full accountability for not setting boundaries earlier, for not, I should have set boundaries earlier. I did try. She's not the type of person where boundaries will work, but I wish I had done things differently, because it did progress to a certain stage that I'm about to tell you, and it takes two to tango. So partly it's my fault for allowing it. So the stress got pretty bad, and my MS flared up. That's partially why I took the hiatus, and I had to go into the hospital. And even the doctor said this is due to stress, because through reading my MRI and everything on me clinically, they were like, this is stress related. I was like, yeah, I know why. But anyway, so I was there for about 3 days of treatment, came back, and via Uber came back, and I got home, and it was clear that, she didn't want me to come back home. But it wasn't clear exactly why, and she didn't say it in so many words, and I had just had 2 rounds of steroids, and I was still very ill. I could hardly walk. So I just was like, I'm just not going to deal with this right now. This could all be in my head. I need to rest and get better. So I expressed that. I said, I can still do what I need to do. I'm going to need a little more rest. I'm going to need to lie down more while I'm getting my strength back. That was the understanding. So, that evening, I went to bed early. It's fine. Got up the next day. I needed to be out immediately. I was being intimidated and harassed, called all kinds of names, insulted worse than I've ever been insulted before. It was like a 180-degree flip. Now, I am not telling this story to be like, oh, my life is so sad. That's not the point of this. What I realized in these moments where this woman, whom I had slept in the same bed with when she was afraid because of her blood pressure was too high, or I had driven her to, go to the casino where, so she could have a good day. When I had done everything for this woman, I had sacrificed so much. I was at her beck and call 24/7. She did a complete 180-degree rotation when she, in her head, deemed I was no longer useful. And that is the whole point. Because while she's, hurling these insults at me, and I'm shocked, like, how can you say this? I'm the same person that I was, a month ago. I'm the same person that was almost your daughter, But she is saying the most hurtful things to me. She's threatening me. And it's illegal. You can't do that to a tenant, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, the point is that I said to myself, this is what men are trying to say when they've been in a marriage for a certain length of time and say they've lost their job, or they're just older and they can't, fix things like they used to. Whatever it is, whatever that is, where the woman has decided, he's not really useful to me anymore, or not as useful as that guy over there, or not as useful as I want him to be. Suddenly, 180-degree, change. And sometimes it's not even that you're not useful. I think a lot of us are just perplexed at what it is. But it's, you enter the marriage with a certain woman whom you think you know. And then, time goes on and events happen as they do in life. And all of a sudden, you don't know her anymore. She's now the cruelest, most hateful person you've ever seen. You do not recognize the person you thought you knew, the person that you married. And whilst I was going through this with this person I was taking care of, I was thinking to myself, this must be a bit what it's like. I'm no longer useful. I no longer serve her. Therefore, bye, and I don't care what happens to you. So, I mean, I got through that, and it was hurtful during the time. It was hurtful, it was scary, etc. But I did also think, well, this is what men go through all the time. And then they have kids too that are, hearing the same things, these same cruel things about you to alienate you, and they're getting half their stuff taken. And I thought, this is nothing compared to what the guys go through. And I also decided to look at it as a gift that, hey, I have this opportunity to see this dynamic that most women will never get to see. And as a men's rights activist and advocating for men, I really feel it was a gift to be able to be on that end of things, to be treated as disposable, because that is how men are treated. And to an extent, they've always been treated that way. I mean, look at war. I mean, they're the pawns, right? They're disposable. That's how they're treated. And now in marriages and relationships, disposable. And to see somebody that you thought you knew do a complete flip in a very short amount of time is enough to make your own head spin. So I just wanted to share that with all of you guys. And to a degree, I'm still processing all of it, but I hope that that experience that I had will help me be a better advocate for you guys. And I hope that you will feel that I can understand on a deeper level. I still know that it's not nearly as bad as what some of you have been through, but I can say from seeing it from the other side to be made to, you're just disposable, you're just a throwaway. That is extremely painful. That is, well, let me go walk off this cliff kind of a feeling, and this isn't even a person that I was in a loving relationship with, or that I had even known for that long of a period of time. This was just a friend whom I'd grown fond of. So I can only imagine magnifying it to a spouse, the mother of your children. I'm so sorry. It's indescribable what that feeling is inside, to just be a throwaway. So, once again, feminism is guilty for this, because the woman can just decide what to keep and what to throw away. And when she wants to throw it away, she'll make up whatever story in her head about you, and it can be as far away from the truth as she pleases. So, be well, my friends, and see you next time.